And gentlemen, we will commence with the June 2nd, 2026 Board of County Commission meetings. If you'd please rise for a moment of silence, reflection for our first responders, members of armed forces, followed by the invocation by Deacon Wilford Hart.
Let's pray. Father God in heaven, we first acknowledge that you're God. There are many gods out there, Lord, but they're called idol gods, and they don't have any power. All power, Lord, is in your hands. And so, Father God, we're going to ask, since you're sitting on your throne up in heaven, that you send a blessing right here in this meeting today. We don't know what the needs are, but you do. And so, Lord, we're going to ask that you furnish all our needs. When other communities and counties are hurting, Lord, we're increasing. This is Indian River County. And I'm going to call it out to you, Jesus, to let you know that Indian River County deserves to be blessed. I ask that you bless our leaders that are up in the dais today about your business. Not their will be done, Father God, but your will be done. Bless their homes. Bless their ministry, because what they're doing is a ministry, Father God. We have other elected officials in this room today. Bless their ministries as well. And then, Lord, we just ask that this community, any sins that it has committed, be forgiven by you, Father. Only you can forgive us, Lord. And then, Lord, we're going to ask that you supply us with our daily bread as you made that promise to us. Lead us not, Lord, into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom and the power and the glory forever. And every heart that loves the Lord will say, amen.
Please remain standing as Commissioner Fletcher leads us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance to the greatest nation on earth, the United States of America, home of the free because of the brave. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with
Liberty and justice for all.
Thank you.
Thank you and good morning again, and let the record reflect that Commissioner Susan Adams is in Washington, D.C. representing Indian River County at the National County Commission Convention. Commissioners, any additions or deletions?
Mr. Chairman, move approval.
Second.
Have a motion to approve. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor? Aye. Commissioners, that brings us to proclamations and presentations. And I will tell you, this is a very special day as we honor Pastor Bone. Just so the public knows, we decide amongst ourselves who reads the proclamations, and everybody knows Pastor. In fact, Joe Ehrman was anxious to read it, and I said, well, I'll take the chairman's privilege and read it myself. He has been vital to Indian River County. Those of you that have ever experienced any losses on any level, he has been there, and his church has been there accommodating us, and it is an honor and a pleasure for me to read this proclamation. Today's proclamation honors Pastor Bone's 50 years of ordained ministry, 5 decades. Whereas Pastor Larry Bone has faithfully answered the call of God, dedicating 50 years of his life to ordained ministry and the service of others. And whereas through his role as global outreach pastor at Central Assembly of God, Pastor Bone has demonstrated unwavering commitment to spreading the gospel, equipping believers, and impacting lives both locally and around the world. And whereas his compassion, leadership, servant's heart, and steadfast faith have encouraged, discipled, and inspired countless individuals across generations. Whereas Pastor Bone's ministry has extended beyond the borders, advancing missions and bringing hope to communities through the love and message of Jesus Christ. And whereas this golden milestone stands as a powerful testimony of God's faithfulness and Pastor Bone's enduring dedication and divine calling. Now therefore be it proclaimed by the Board of County Commissioners of Indian River County, Florida, we express our deepest gratitude to his faithful service, spiritual leadership, and the lasting legacy he continues to build through global outreach and ministry. May the Lord continue to bless, guide, and strengthen him in his years ahead. Adopted on this second day of June 2026 and signed by all 5 county commissioners. Larry, please come up. Commissioner Herman, I know you have a few words you'd like to share.
Absolutely. I've known Larry for, I don't know, more than 50 years, probably.
Wow.
But, gosh, I remember when I was in charge, the biggest thing strikes me is I remember when I was in charge of one of the founders in charge of the firefighters fair, and Larry was working in the advertising business and working with the radio station, with the, out of there at the church and all that sort of stuff. He was always a big help to do other stuff for us. It was just a lot of things. He was always there. He's just been a guy that's always been for his community and always doing what's right and doing what's best. And I could go on and talk about what he's done and the people that he's touched and everything else. But he's just a real good guy.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, and you think about, and I know Commissioner Fletcher knows this, unfortunately, sometimes in our line of work, you have crises that come up, no matter the volume, and to be able to call Larry on very short notice and being assured that the accommodations are made and the families are taken care of, that just takes one less stressful item off of our agenda. So, Commissioner Fletcher.
No, we often look at our own belief, and we look for our guidance. Sheriff touched upon something that, we get hit at 2 o'clock in the morning. We get hit at 6 a.m. We get hit at 3 in the afternoon. Something is going to happen. And when you have that critical incident, when you have somebody that you can go to or call upon and things start happening, we talk about our victim services. Larry, you've been a victim service. You're there for support and assistance and whatever the church can do for the situation. I truly appreciate that, because over the years, when I go back to times when I worked for Sheriff Raymond, there were many times that you built the bridge, and I just want to thank you. You got us through it.
He is so good. All the time, he's good.
5 decades, well.
And the public doesn't see that. That's the point of today. The public does not see that we can call upon Larry and he's there.
Yeah.
And open arms, what do you need? What can I do? Because you assist, and then you go back to whatever you were doing with pride and an understanding that we made it a better place. So thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Pastor Brown. Yeah, we don't go back 50 years, but I wish we did. And I think it's lovely, and it's a testament to you that it's not just your family who's here with you today, it's your church family.
Right.
And that's really a beautiful statement in your behalf. And 50 years, God bless. Thank you so
I started when I was
much.
5.
Excellent.
Thank you, Larry.
All of this is possible because of incredible staff that we have at Central. Our lead pastor, John Hamilton, and his wife are out of town. They would be here today as well. But these incredible folks here make it all happen, so I just get to enjoy. So thank you for your kindness and your generosity and giving me this tremendous honor today. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Larry. Come on up.
Yeah, come on up. Family too. All the family.
Thank you. And thank you. I'm sorry. We can dance if you want to. You did this stars, didn't you? Thank you again.
Sir. Thank you. 5 decades.
Yep. You were around for all of them. You were around for all of those decades.
Commissioners, that brings us to approval of minutes. We do not have any minutes to approve. Information items from staff and commissioners attached in your backup material. You will see the event calendar, which is full of fascinating events. We would encourage you to review those. At this time, we will take any public comment that is agenda-related. Any public comment that's agenda-related specifically. If you have comments that's not agenda-related, we will entertain that towards the end of the meeting. Hearing none and seeing none. Commissioners, that brings us to the consent agenda. What is your flavor?
Mr. Chair,
Commissioner Flesher.
move approval.
Second.
We have a motion by Commissioner Flesher, a second by Commissioner Ehrman. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor? Aye, and the motion carries. Commissioners, we have no items from governmental offices or governmental agencies. The next public item is 11B. This is a notice to schedule a public hearing to discuss and approve a resolution adopting new fiscal year 26-27 utility rates and fees. Mr. Administrator.
Yes, Mr. Chair. As you noted, this is merely the notice we will be scheduling a public hearing to review and discuss and present to you a resolution adopting the new fiscal year 26-27 utility rates. That will be for the next meeting at June 16th.
June 16th, Commissioner, this is a placeholder that we're hearing today, so we will be addressing this in detail on June 16th. No action is required on that agenda item. Commissioners, we will move forward to departmental matters, bring us to 13I, Planning Development Series, which I know Commissioner Adams is involved in this, and this brings us to Planning and Development Services with the Indian River County Local Jobs Grant Program revision. Mr. Administrator.
Yeah, I'm looking for Doug Dombrowski. Monsieur, can you see if Doug is in the green room?
We have Doug Dombrowski.
I do see that we have the chair of the Economic Development Committee for the county, Lance Lunsford. And then also I see the president of the chamber. And one of the things I know that came out of the study that was adopted was to evaluate and look at our local, incentives. This particular one is related to the local jobs grant program, and there's some revisions. And at the end of the day, the goals for this agenda or this item was to eliminate unnecessary program complexity, reduce the burdensome of compliance requirements, and then ensure that we have an enhanced return on investment for participating businesses. It was in February that the Planning Development Services staff presented the 10-year performance and utilization analysis of the program, and they requested authorization to revise it. They've done that, and now I'll turn it over to Doug. I've already teed it up, Doug, to where you've got it revised, and you can go over the specific requests.
Commissioners, now we will have an overview by Doug Dombrowski to go over the recent changes in the grant application. Welcome, Mr. Dombrowski.
Good morning, Chairman Loring, Commissioners. Item 13I1 is for consideration of a resolution to revise the Indian River County Local Jobs Grant Program, providing for new guidelines and a revised agreement. So I'd like to start with a little background, the first couple slides. This is a timeline of kind of how we got here. As early as January of this year, the Economic Development Council made their recommendation to staff to begin revision of this program. As such, in February, we came to this Board of County Commissioners for authorization to revise the program. You all had granted that revision. So in March of this year, the Economic Development Council worked with staff with some specific revisions that they wanted in the program. And in April and May, planning and development staff and the county attorney worked on those revisions together. I'd like to thank the county attorney for her time in preparation of this item. And then on May 19th, the EDC met and they reviewed the resolution, the grant agreement and guidelines, and made a recommendation to this board to adopt the new program. This next slide is just sort of a summary of a recap of why the revision was requested. Back in February, basically, this program had a lack of participation and it was underutilized. So we felt it was time for some revision to the program. The 10-year program analysis between 2017 and 2025 revealed only 2 businesses were assisted by the program. The reason the businesses did not participate or continue, the feedback that we had received, was the program agreement was difficult for the applicants to understand. The program was overly regulatory and burdensome to meet compliance. The old program had extensive reporting, quarterly reporting, and the term of the agreement could go out as far as 7 to 9 years, so it had a lengthy term. And finally, the program return on investment for the businesses did not outweigh the contract management required for the businesses. In other words, the grant amounts were insufficient for the cost, so there was a cost-benefit consideration for the businesses. And the grant payments were structured such that the business didn't receive the full grant after they created the jobs. They had to wait over a 3-year period to kind of realize that grant. So there was a time value of money consideration for the businesses. The Economic Development Commission really had 3 goals in mind identified when they wanted to revise this program. It was to eliminate the unnecessary program complexities, reduce the burdensome compliance, and enhance the return on investment for the businesses. And their anticipated result in this will be to improve the inducement for business attraction and expansion, improve small business participation, and increase job creation in Indian River County. So I'd like to review the key changes in the program going forward. First, it changes the qualifying jobs definition for grant eligibility. It raises the minimum threshold to participate. The wage threshold will be changed from 75% of the Indian River County wage to 100% of the Indian River County wage. I know that was something that Commissioner Moss had brought up the last time we had discussed this program, and the Economic Development Council had agreed. And then the employees must work at the Indian River County facility by virtue of this agreement. It reduces the term of the agreement by eliminating several job creation periods and phases. This agreement will be simplified to really just have a maximum term of a 3-year job creation period. So once the commencement date is scheduled in the agreement, they have 3 years from that date to create the jobs. And it reduces the reporting requirements. The reports will now be annual versus quarterly. And it provides 100% of the jobs grant reimbursement after verification in that annual report. Rather than having to wait 3 years for the full grant reimbursement, once they've created that job and it's been verified, they can receive their grant. Finally, or not finally, but we also included a clawback provision, a clear clawback for businesses that do not fulfill their representations. The former agreement didn't have a real clear clawback provision, and we thought that was necessary. And it changes the grant ceiling for the businesses that participate. It went from 500,000 to 1.5 million. However, that grant ceiling in any budget year, a business cannot receive more than $500,000 in any budget year. And it's important to know that each application and grant is considered on a case-by-case basis. So the process would be that the business application would go to the Economic Development Council, and then it would come before the county commission for approval. And all grants are subject upon available funding. It revises the incentive amounts and grant eligibility categories. Again, it eliminates the grant category of 75% of the Indian River County wage, and it provides larger incentives for high-wage job creation. So we're really incentivizing businesses that can bring high-wage jobs to Indian River County. So there's two tiers now. The 100 to 149% wage category can receive 20% of the Indian River County average wage per job. And those businesses that create jobs that are 150% or greater of the Indian River County average wage may receive 25% of 150% of the Indian River County average wage. I think it's important to note, too, that we receive data from the state each year regarding what that average wage is for the county, and it fluctuates. So by doing the percentage, we're not locked into any grant based upon that wage. They fluctuate. Mainly they increase, but there have been times over the years where that average wage has gone down. And then lastly, it incorporates a requirement for certifications in the annual report. There are 4 certifications the businesses must provide as part of that reporting. It's that they maintain their target industry status. They have to be a target industry to participate. They maintain their operations in Indian River County. They're current on their real and tangible personal property taxes. And they need to provide statements of new employment and wage information that are true and accurate. Final thoughts, the existing local jobs grant program is underperforming. The revised program is less complex, less burdensome, and has strong financial inducement. It fosters large and small business participation. In particular, small businesses found this program difficult to navigate. So the hope here is that we will have more small business participation. The Board of County Commissioners will consider each application on a case-by-case basis. So you'll have the opportunity as a board to make an alternate funding decision. So they might be eligible for a funding amount, but this commission may have some other thoughts of what that funding should be. And the program is always contingent upon available funding in any budget year. The revised program remains performance-based, so the businesses have to do what they say they do, and it's a reimbursement. Once they create their jobs, they can receive their grant funding, and that'll be through their annual reporting. And I'd like to emphasize the new clawback provision that's in this agreement. And with that, staff would recommend approval of the resolution revising the Indian River County Local Jobs Grant Program by adopting the revised program guidelines and the associated agreement. Also, to note, I know that Chairman Lunsford from the Economic Development Council is here. He may want to say a few words as well. But I'll take any questions.
Commissioners.
Well, Mr. Chairman, I appreciate the changes. Again, the Jobs Grant Program was initiated or brought forward at a time when, by Commissioner O'Brien, when the economic development packages were growing by the minute across the eastern seaboard. There was a drive, and it was great incentivization. Throughout the, I guess, more recent times, it's lost a lot of the incentivization or the vision of incentivization, and it became an extra fund at best, or viewed as, hey, you know, I just throw this in there so that we can have some return or a grant, that it was just available monies. I think it did lose its effectiveness, and I appreciate the changes, because the changes has brought back an encouragement element to participate. And in these economic times, we're going to need every bit of help that we can, because a lot of the original participants changed and moved on, but they took advantage of the grant process. There are just a few that were that maintained the relationship, but they took advantage of the grant. The state and the Fed does do their part, but I think by the virtue of the changes that you've made, we've brought back a stronger element of encouragement for economic development in our community.
Thank you. Just a couple questions, and I see Chairman Lunsford and our Director of the Chamber. If you two would like to come up and add a few things, I just think that would be healthy for the conversation. Yes, Mr. Administrator.
I just want to comment that I do think what they've done, Doug, and the EDC has modernized the program. It's, you know, the clawback provision is something that is should be very standard, and by raising the criteria and the eligibility amounts, I think that's important. And then tying it to our qualified targeted industries versus any QTI business in the state of Florida, because we're trying to find the businesses that complement and enhance our quality of life and not overtake us. So, I mean, I think that's important. And then I've never seen a program where it's done on a quarterly basis, because at some point it becomes more money to comply with the grant program than it does to the benefit of the business. So, and then that clawback provision where they literally can claw back, you know, the money that were provided if they don't, you know, carry through. So I think it's important, and I want to thank Doug and the Economic Development Council and the Chamber, Paul, for their help and their assistance in this.
Sure. Good morning.
Commission, I just, Lance Lunsford, I serve as the chairman of your EDC. I just want to reiterate everything Doug has said. This has been a historic effort. It takes other counties years sometimes to get these programs revised, and between all of us, we were able to do it in 4 months and get this proposal to you. I know the EDC was unanimous in January when we recommended that this process begin. We were unanimous in this recommendation to you at our May meeting to get this program revised under the current specifications. If approved, this would actually be, we've checked, the most ambitious job grants program in the state. At the same time, it removes the onerous red tape that Administrator Dukanic just spoke about, taking the quarterly requirements away, making it annual, at the same time increasing the accountability through the clawback provision, and also preserving the decision-making process that the old program had of it, ultimately being this commission's decision, subject to available funding. So a really well-done effort from our standpoint. I also want to thank Doug for all of his work on the process. I want to also thank County Attorney Schuler for her work as well, and the fact that I think all of us worked well together in our different roles is important. Again, I just reiterate, this EDC, it was a unanimous decision to get this program revised to you. So on behalf of the Economic Development Council, we formally recommend that the Board of County Commissioners adopt this revised job grants program. And I also believe we have Brian Cartland, who's the Vice President of Economic Development for the Indian River County Chamber of Commerce, in case, Mr. Chairman, if it's all right, if he can maybe speak and say a few words as well.
Brian, well.
Absolutely. Thank you, Chairman and Commissioners. I am Brian Cartland, Vice President, Economic Development for the Indian River County Chamber of Commerce. And if all goes well with real estate closings, I will be a resident of Indian River County by June 26th. And I'm here today to express strong support for the proposed updates for the program. These revisions represent thoughtful strategic enhancement to one of the county's most important economic development tools. And I want to commend county staff and our county attorney and the Economic Development Council for their thoughtful input and direction for this program. The updated framework aligns directly, of course, with the Treasure Tomorrow Strategic Action Plan. And what makes this program especially effective is its performance-based structure. Incentives are only paid after the jobs are actually created, and those jobs must meet defined wage thresholds tied to the county average wage. And every agreement comes before this board for approval on a case-by-case basis. So the revisions also reinforce the key safeguards, focus on target industries, requirement that net new jobs be above the baseline employment levels, and provisions for the reporting requirements and clawback provisions as previously stated. And just as importantly, it remains accessible, as Doug had outlined, to both new businesses, existing employers, and I personally love that it's not just targeted toward the large companies, but also those small target industry employers. So in short, although I am the newest person to the table, I believe this is a very well-designed, very powerful tool that's going to greatly enhance our ability to attract and retain those target industry employers. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Brian. Commissioners, any questions?
Mr. Chairman?
Yes, sir.
I'm like really excited about this because I know part of the problem with us moving this forward, and Commissioner Fleischer touched on some of it when he spoke just a few minutes ago about this. When Commissioner O'Brien, I think, came up with this idea, we didn't have the staff to really reach out and do this and get these things done. The Economic Development Council was kind of new, it was kind of different, but we didn't have the staff. It was placed on the Planning and Zoning Department to get out and do this. I mean, it's not really in their set, you know, to do this. They're planners and busy enough with all the stuff that's going on down there, as we all know. So I would give credit to Commissioner Adams. I would give credit to the commission recently when we said we needed to up our game on this, and the county administrator for pulling this, getting Doug on board and all that sort of stuff. And then I think, and we owe Lance Lunsford and his desire to be on the Economic Development Board and to bring this forward. And now Brian's on board, who I'm so very impressed with in the short conversations that we had, that I think there's much better things to come here. And I don't want the public to feel like, well, why didn't we do this sooner? It goes back to, again, we only have so much staff and so much people to do it. Business in Indian River County has always been pretty good. We probably took that for granted, but we didn't have the people to put this in motion and to regulate it. All there was Helene Castletine. That was it. And we didn't have anything else. And, you know, Helene, God bless her, she's out there still doing stuff, and we appreciate her efforts, but she was a one-man band. And I think we're on the right track now, and I'm really excited about this. And Doug, thank you for your work. Lance, thank you. And Brian, we look forward to a lot of good things. So we
No
appreciate
pressure.
the chamber's help and everything else with this. So I just kind of wanted to clear that up to say, we never overlooked this. We just never had the lifters to make the heavy lifting to make this possible. And I think we've got great people in place and moving this forward. And, you know, I want to thank the Economic Development Council for getting this, moving this forward, so.
Thank you. Yes.
Thank you. I'd like to especially thank Mr. Lunsford for this. I was the city of Vero Beach's, when I was on Vero Beach City Council, the appointee to the Economic Development Council years ago. And I asked to be taken off of it, frankly, because I could tell this is going nowhere and doing nothing. And you really need somebody to, you know, to take it in hand And I think you did that in very short order, and I want to thank you very much. I am curious, though, I'm glad, it was long overdue to get rid of all the red tape, and I see that you've definitely streamlined things, you and the council and Commissioner Adams. I see this, I just want to know how you see it. I see this as step one, you streamlined all the red tape. I would see step two as targeting specific industries, businesses, and I would see step three as actively pursuing them. My understanding in the past was that it was, and granted, it was due to, perhaps not enough employees dedicated to it, or not enough funding, or whatever the reason, doesn't matter now we're going forward. But in the past, it was very passive. It's like, well, we'll see what fish go by. And I think it needs to be more like fly fishing, like go out there, go get it. You need to be more active. So is that a consideration? Are you going to target more? Are you recommending that and be more active?
Well, I
And I'll leave
think,
it question for everyone.
Administrator.
I would say the relationship between the county and the chamber, that is the intent, and we bifurcated the responsibilities where, excuse me, Brian, said Paul earlier, Brian is going to focus, it's part of his expertise with the chamber, and then Doug also has done site selection and done local government economic development for 20-plus years, and so yes, that is the intent, and God bless you, that is consistent with the Treasure Tomorrow, strategic action plan.
An
Thank you.
interesting point,
Mr. Fletcher.
I'm sorry. Interesting point is that, you touched upon Helene, who's handling this. Just want to bring it back to you can see a commercial for an automobile, but unless you go to the dealership, you're never going to ride a car. You're never going to purchase a vehicle. So this needs marketing. This needs forward marketing, because in the past, when it was first developed, it was a cold call from Helene that got people interested. She would, she did what she could do with what we had, but in addition, I think now we have to go a little forward with the marketing and reach out to the targeted industries, say, Indian River, this is where it is, and look what we can give you, to encourage you to be here. I think it needs some forward marketing.
Thank you, Commissioner Fletcher, and it is also refreshing to see Chairman Lunsford here, obviously the youngster of the group, and seems to be full of energy and excited to do this. In fact, I think it is his trophy for fast-forwarding this in 6 months, lightning speed. And for that, Lance, we thank you.
And Commission, I just want to say very importantly, this was a team effort. I mean, we have 23 members on the Economic Development Council. I simply serve as chairman. We had a wonderful, wonderful process. Many suggestions, and this was a collaborative process, not only on behalf of our council's relation with the chamber, with this commission, with the staff, but really amongst the EDC. And I appreciate the praise, but I really want to redirect that praise towards the council as a whole, and to all of us as a shared partnership in this effort. And just to reiterate, the chamber being the designated economic development organization, I know Brian is very excited about the opportunity to market this program if adopted to prospective businesses coming in here, and certainly our EDC is always happy to take up any issues that this commission really would like us to, in our capacity to advise and provide our perspective on the direction of Indian River County's activities pursuant to the resolution. I believe it's 2003-127, which is the 127th resolution in the year 2003. That's our responsibility. We're going to continue to uphold that and conduct ourselves in the way that this commission would like us to. And really, on behalf of this council, this has been a historic effort, and we look forward to the commission's decision. Thank you.
Thank you, Chairman.
Thank you.
So,
Commissioners, what's your pleasure?
Chairman, I'll make a,
Anyone from the public would like to comment on this? It's not a public hearing.
Mr. Chairman, I'll make a motion to recommend approval of the resolution revising the Indian River County Jobs Grant Program.
We have a motion by Commissioner Urban, a second by Commissioner Fletcher. Any further discussion? Hearing none, those in favor? Aye. And the motion passes unanimously, 4-0, with Commissioner Adams being on assignment. Commissioners, it brings us to utility services. Utility services, it's easy for me to say. Department of Utility Services Integrated Water Master Plan update. As we know, this is a continuing update that we, as the commissioners, receive, as well as the general public. I see Howard and Director Liskey here. Good morning.
Good morning, Commissioners. Howard Richards, Manager of Capital Projects for the Department of Utility Services. Good morning again, Commissioner. Today I'm going to give you the 5th update of the Integrated Water Master Plan. This is the simple agenda I'll be going over. I'll give you a quick overview of the project. Then I'll give you an update on the scope or accomplishments to date, primarily since our last update in March. And then I'll give you an update on the schedule and the use of contingency. So as you know, the Department of Utility Services engaged HDR Incorporated to develop an integrated water master plan for the department. And the reason we embarked on this project is because we're continuing to see continued population growth, changes in regulations, aging infrastructure, and resource and uncertainty, including source water, financial, and people resources. So HDR is embarking on this for us. So what is an integrated water master plan? It is an integrated approach to the development of water, wastewater, and reuse planning. It aligns objectives. And this plan will look at the future needs of all systems to set the course for the next 20 years to achieve the county and community priorities. We established 4 guiding values for the development of the plan, including ensuring that we have adequate quantity to meet future demand for services, quality of services as well to meet regulations, future regulations, equity. We need to consider all customers fairly as we plan future improvements, and resiliency to prepare our utility to meet future challenges in a sustainable way. So the Integrated Water Master Plan is not your ordinary master plan. Typically, utilities will do separate plans for water, wastewater, and even reuse. This is integrating all 3 services in one. A typical plan would look at population and demand projections, level of service, alternatives evaluation, and then developing a CIP. Historically, that's what master plan do. Our director, Sean Leesky, wanted a more dynamic plan, a plan that was more comprehensive. So the Integrated Water Master Plan is going to have additional scope items, looking at asset inventory, because we are embarking on an asset management program to better and more effectively manage our infrastructure. By looking at what we own and the current assessment of their condition. We're doing extensive public outreach. We have done that, and we are planning a second round of outreach. Hydraulic modeling and calibration, which I'll get into in a little bit more. HDR has also developed an extensive risk model to look at our future needs for the renewal of our assets. And the plan is going to be a digital delivery of the plan because unlike any plans that I've done, this one is going to be very adaptable. So for example, we're not going to wait for a future plan, master plan update to update us. We're going to be changing our plans as conditions change on which the plan is built. So HDR is embarked using this framework by the US EPA for doing one water integrated planning, and it comprised these 6 phases. And we've shown this before, which is going to make it prioritized, adaptable, and affordable. So what have we accomplished? So this is the scope update I'm giving you currently. Since our last update, we've completed demand and flow projections. We've built levels of service. Drinking water supply and wastewater treatment have been completed, and we have those technical memorandums. Wastewater basis of planning is complete. Regulatory review is complete. Sewer distribution, evaluation of our sewer and distribution system, and sewer distribution as well has been completed. So this is the overall work plan that HDR is using. The takeaway from this plan is we have now completed 7 of the 10 modules that the plan is going to be delivered on. As a timeline, this is a timeline we were on. In my last report, I reported that we were on a 22-month timeline to be completed in mid-July. Items to the left of this red line, zigzag red line, has been completed, and the items to the right of that is projecting out further. So the new schedule now is that we're going to be completed around the fall of 2026, i.e. the October-November timeframe of this year. Contributing to that extended timeline is a few factors. One, the calibration of the hydraulic model was much more extensive than was originally anticipated, taking additional time to get that done. And the coordination with other projects as well, other planning projects, like we are doing a major conversion of one of our repump station into an inline station to meet future conditions. And the coordination of those projects has taken quite a bit more time. And also, we will be doing more public outreach once the capital improvement plan, the 20-year plan, is developed. So those are being programmed in to set this new timeline. As an update of the contingency, recall that the board approved us up to $742,750. So far, we have used $272,000 of that. And the remaining contingency, I think there's a math here, is roughly 400,000. So there's a math here, I'll have to correct that. The two contingency that you've already approved, number 1 and number 2, there is a third contingency that HDR is currently estimating. So hopefully by the next update, I will have the amount for what that is, but we expect that to remain within the total contingency that the board approved. So that is my update. Thank you for allowing me this time, and I'll take any questions.
Fellow commissioners, any questions for Howard?
That was thorough.
Thank you.
Thank you.
It's been an ongoing process. We appreciate that.
Thank you.
Commissioners, as I did not mention, but earlier at 10:30 today, we have a shade meeting, time certain for ongoing litigation. We'll talk about that as we get closer, but we will continue to move forward. Next is 16B, the Solid Waste Disposal District. Item I, item 1, requesting approval of leachate treatment pilot test. And we see Himanshu here. Good morning.
Good morning, Commissioners. Himanshu Mehta, Managing Director for the Solid Waste Disposal District. So the item in front of you today is I think a lot of you were at our ribbon cutting ceremony for our Heartland evaporator. As a former county administrator has called it garbage juice. That's the leachate, that's the liquid that we collect in the landfill, right? We have a liner that captures all that liquid, and we make sure that it doesn't get into the environment. We capture it. And historically, just a brief history, over the many, many years of the landfill, that liquid used to go to our county's wastewater plant until we partnered with Heartland, Indian University Sustainability Center to build the leachate evaporator. And the intent of that is to basically capture all that liquid, treat it on site. It has a 90 to 95% efficiency. Basically, all that escapes is water vapor. Everything else gets concentrated, and we put that back into the landfill. So it's a great closed loop in making sure that everything sort of stays at the landfill footprint. The challenge has become during the rainy season. The leachate evaporator has a capacity, a treatment capacity of 30,000 gallons per day. We do have a 500,000 gallon storage tank, so we are able to put the leachate into the tank and pull out of it for the evaporator to use. However, last year we experienced in the rainy season, coincident with a new cell that we had deployed, that basically there wasn't enough waste in the cell yet, and all the water that kind of touched the garbage and went right into our leachate collection system. And in those instances, what we've seen is we've have to divert the extra leachate to the wastewater plant. And as I'm sure Sean and Howard and others have told you, the regulations have gotten more and more stringent on wastewater plants. And again, our goal and intent of the evaporator was never to divert leachate and to send it to the wastewater plant. We want to get away from that practice. And so one of the things that, coming to the present item right now in front of you, is we've had our engineers, Geosyntec consultants. I have Dr. Tim Copeland and Ms. Christina Graver here from Geosyntec. We started having them evaluate sort of pre-treatment options. What could we do in the rainy season to basically handle that high volume of water? And so they evaluated different technologies, and the technology they landed on was reverse osmosis. And like you see in the water treatment side, it basically, when we take our deep aquifer water, it's brackish water, and we put it through membranes, and it comes out sort of a clean water. Same concept on the leachate side. It can take the leachate and put it through membranes, and basically the efficiency there is about 70% of clean water comes out, and 30% is concentrate water. And the idea is to put it in front of the evaporator, where we can treat high volume of water, right? Get 70% clean water out of that. We would divert that to our wastewater plant. They'd be able to handle that. And then the 30%, the concentrate, we would blend that with some of the rest of the leachate, and then have the evaporator process that. So it's a small pilot, if you will, in terms of just testing out the technology at our site. And Geosyntec evaluated two firms. One is Indian River Sustainability Center, Heartland. They also are in the reverse osmosis field. And the other one is Sustainable Landfill Solutions, SLS. And they evaluated both companies, presented the pros and cons of each, and evaluated their pilot proposal, if you will. We do have a pilot budgeted in our fiscal year budget. And ultimately, after reviewing, the evaluations for both firms, staff and our engineer felt that it might be, they're similar but different in terms of their approach, and to really fully understand the total cost impact, that we're recommending a 3-month pilot, for Heartland, and a 3-month pilot for SLS. And we would have Geosyntec basically do an evaluation of both pilots after the 6-month period, and we would come back to the board, with the results at a future meeting, and then take a look at the next steps. But in terms of the particulars, again, both technologies and both companies are in this field. They have ready system, ready to deploy. It would be a mobile system that would come onto our site. We would need to connect it to power, provide some space for it. There would be some setup configuration that would need to be done to bring leachate into the RO unit, and then to concentrate, into the evaporator. Overall summary, when Geosyntec evaluated this, and it's in your backup, the total combined cost for SLS was like about 18 cents a gallon, and for Heartland it was about 16 cents, 17 cents a gallon for their system. So again, their costs are very close in terms of treatment capacity. Now that's overall, not only their processing cost, but some electrical costs, some other operating costs related to the project. And what we're recommending is that we waive bid requirements, allow the purchasing manager to issue a 3-month PO to each company. Geosyntec would work with them on some of the sort of, we feel, not very, it'd be a permitting process, but it'd be a notification to the state agency that we want to run a pilot program. We're pretty confident that they'll support short-term pilots. And the total cost that we have, we're looking at a 3-month pilot for SLS, about $415,552.50. For Heartland, it's $379,057.50, for a total combined cost of $794,610. Again, we have funds available this fiscal year, given kind of we're looking at the 6-month timeframe, that we will kind of carry over into the next fiscal year a little bit as well, where we have funds to also, do this type of a pilot. And with that, I'm happy to answer any questions. I did mention the two companies. We do have Mr. Sean Reese here from Heartland. He's here if you have any questions about their pilot. We also have Dr. Pradeep Jain and Mr. James Wally of SLS. And again, our engineers are here as well. So happy to answer any questions, or they're here as to answer anything that I can't answer.
Did you get it up and running? I mean, how quick this,
What's that?
how quick can this mobilize?
We need to go through the regulatory just notification process. We think that will be fairly quick. We have, I believe that both parties are here. We're looking at within 3 to 4 weeks, we could possibly have the system on site. So we're kind of getting geared up for the rainy season. And I think it's a perfect timing to take the few weeks to go ahead and get the regulatory step done. It'll take time for them to mobilize to the site. And then there's some piping configurations that we'll need to set up as well, and go from there.
This is a pre-treatment skid. The current mechanism will still be processing into vapor.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So the 30% that comes out of the reverse osmosis, it's concentrated material, that will get further treated with the evaporator. And that'll bring that down to 90 to 95%, and then we'll be able to take that and put it back to the landfill. So again, trying to long-term, I should have mentioned these pilot systems are 25,000 gallons per day. So again, they're meant to be just, a testing of our leachate on our property and configurations and see how it works. Ultimately, full scale, we would maybe need to look at a 50, 75,000, 100,000 gallon per day, RO unit. These are modular in nature, so, you can bring a system on site and add another one to it. The other nice thing in terms of these companies is, I know and the folks from Heartland are here to correct me, but I recall when talking and reviewing this, SLS has basically indicated, and their proposal is kind of set up where if the reverse osmosis is on and we're processing the leachate, there's a price per gallon there. If, say, we're in the dry season and we don't need to process any water through their system, there is no cost to us. So again, it's meant to be modular, meant to be kind of there. They can remove it if, for 6 months if we don't need it. They can come back. A lot of the setup would already kind of be there, in the future years. But that's the idea beyond going forward as to what we do, is that we would want to deploy this technology during the wet rainy season when we expect, a lot of liquids.
So you're going to be moving rather high viscosity fluid.
Sure.
Concern about the membranes, the lifespan,
So-
turnover.
Yeah, both of these systems that they're proposing are proven. They're in operations, and some in Florida already, and some across the United States. Heartland has what they call a high pressure, more of a high pressure system through their membranes. That kind of covers that. The SLS folks, they call it a low pressure membrane system, but there is a combination of some chemicals and some, anti-scaling materials that they use to keep the membranes kind of running smooth. The good thing about, in terms of this, is we're relying on them, we're paying them price per gallon for them to utilize their equipment to process our leachate and demonstrate the efficiency that they're saying. Both companies are at about that 70% efficiency, that they can take the raw leachate and get about 70% clean water out of their system. So again, that's the reason for recommending both pilots, is because they have a different approach on, again, the pressures that they use, the chemicals that they use. you know, pressure relates to electrical usage as well. And so we've got information from the companies and comparative enough to know that there could be a high electrical usage for the Heartland evaporator versus the SLS, sorry, not the evaporator, the RO unit from Heartland versus SLS. Because of the low pressure, they have a less electrical demand. So that's the reason to recommend that both pilots, let's test out and see, and then ultimately have our engineers evaluate this, and we'll come back for a full recommendation down the road.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yes, Commissioner Moss.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. It's a lot of money, but I noticed it said in here that you'll also use the information from the pilot test to update data on the leachate itself, and that, I guess, hasn't been done since 2019, if I read it correctly.
That's
which is before my time and before most of us sitting here. So, you know, what kinds of things, could you talk about that a minute? I mean, what kind of information could we expect to glean? with regard
Sure.
to the leachate?
It's part of the pilot program that we're looking at, and one of the reasons when initially the Heartland evaporator, we did a pilot on, it was 1,000 gallon per day pilot that we did for 1 week to evaluate evaporator technologies back then. And we did extensive sampling of our leachate to basically evaluate the evaporator technology. State regulations don't require routine sampling of leachate, so that's why we haven't really, you know, it's very expensive. One of the things that we looked at when we were evaluating the evaporator is, you've heard of the terminology forever chemicals, the PFAS chemicals, and that's a very expensive laboratory analysis, if you will. And so we did that when we were evaluating the evaporator technology. Since then, it hasn't been a requirement. Our performance and our contract with Heartland require them to process our leachate. We have made some adjustments in the contract related to the quality of that leachate and it being a little more concentrated, but we haven't really done any recent laboratory results. So the idea with the pilot would be is we would do laboratory analysis of the raw leachate coming in, also evaluate, take samples after the RO unit, to see what the quality of that is, what the efficiency of each RO unit would be. And we also want to recognize and make sure that there's not any negative impact to the evaporator. So, you know, we're talking about a concentrated product that will come out of the reverse osmosis membranes, and we want to make sure that that doesn't negatively impact the evaporator. So getting samples in between the two units is essential as well. And that's what we'll utilize Geosyntec to basically collect samples, send them off to the laboratory, we'll have the results. It'll verify the efficiency of the systems and also give us more updated laboratory results on sort of what's in our leachate and how efficient are we in processing it.
So at what intervals would you want to examine the leachate, just out of curiosity?
So we'd want to establish a baseline, right? Once everything is set up and ready to go, we would establish a baseline of our raw incoming leachate. Once this system is sort of running, and I would say, you know, the engineers will have to kind of confirm the system is operational, running steady state, the water's processing properly, and say maybe a week later, you get a sample of what's happening after everything is turned on. And then generally, I would say maybe once a month. But we're going to have to look at both cost and also kind of, the overall approach. We want to evaluate it in both projects and make sure we're collecting enough data. But we, at the same time, want to be respectful of the budgets as well.
Well, I'll speak for Commissioner Adams. I'm sure she's going to be delighted to have more data on leachate.
Sure. And as once, we get this set up and running, commissioners, if you'd like to come out there and take a look, we'll be happy to show you around.
Thank you, Machu. Any questions, commissioners?
Motion to approve staff recommendation.
We have a motion by Commissioner Ehrman and a second by Commissioner Fletcher. Any further discussions? Hearing none, those in favor? Aye. And the motion carries 4-0 with Commissioner Adams being on assignment. Next, Commissioner 16B2, again, is with Himachu, the SWID temporary operation and maintenance of the RC landfill gas collection and control system. Good morning again, Himachu.
Good morning, commissioners. The other, great project we have at the landfill, as you know, is collecting our landfill gas, properly operating and maintaining that system, and then, sending it over to the new renewable natural gas plant. And one of the things that we did envision when we were going through the update or RFP process for the landfill and the convenience centers and so on and so forth, is historically, landfill gas O&M was part of that landfill contract. And when we went for that RFP, knowing the changes and the RNG plant operations that were coming forward, we decided to remove landfill gas O&M from the landfill contract. And we have prepared a draft RFP that staff's been working on, and we're looking to put that out on the street. In the meantime, what we had to do is we didn't have basically a landfill O&M contract, if you will. But however, Republic Services so far has been a great partner in utilizing Integrity, is a company that does landfill gas O&M on our site. And so we've been basically hiring Integrity as a subcontractor under Republic Services for the time being since October 1. And we feel that at this time, with the scope of the landfill gas O&M, it's about close to about $27,000 a month is what we're looking at. That Republic Services, as great partner as they are, they've kind of indicated that, instead of going through them and paying a 5% markup, they've kind of said, hey, if we were to just enter our own purchase order, if you will, for a short-term duration for these O&M services. And that's the purpose here today is we've gotten a proposal from Integrity, and we're looking to basically sort of temporarily issue them a purchase order for about 6 months while we complete the RFP process and kind of basically make sure that we have continuity of our landfill gas O&M. It's so critical to the RNG plant that we have a robust operation and maintenance program to make sure that all of our wells are being tracked and monitored, and we're trying to maximize what we can produce out of there. The latest projections is, before the RNG plant was commissioned and started up, our flows were over 1,000 SCFM. We have invested in adding some gas wells. Some of the older gas wells are not producing as we would expect them to decline over time. And so our flows have come down, but that's why it's so critical and important to make sure that when we're talking about liquids, for example, in the gas wells, we want to make sure the pumps are functioning in each of the wells to make sure there's no water in there and we can maximize gas recovery. And it takes a team of people out there to almost in the way in this proposal, almost 5 days a week to be out there putting hands on these wells. We have a robust network of gas wells out there. Probably over the course of the years, probably over 100 wells network out there. So gas O&M is so critical to our operations. One of the things historically, we've always had a voluntary system to reduce odors, to reduce the potential for fires. And again, here in this case, to also try to maximize production for our RNG plant project. We have a great partnership with NoPetro. So we want to ensure that we have a good functioning system. And so the recommendation with this agenda item is to basically waive requirements for bids and authorize the procurement manager to issue a purchase order for an O&M contract with Integrity Environmental Solutions for 6 months to not exceed about $242,000. And we have completed the draft RFP. It's on my desk, if you will, to do the final review. We're going to get it to purchasing and legal, and then try to issue that as soon as possible.
Roger,
Yes, sir.
you mentioned, of course, productivity. We're looking to ensure then the straws do clog, they do fail, but you spoke about productivity. It's also about safety.
Sure.
We have to ensure that we off-gas somehow,
Yes.
right?
We do. It's critical to, again, when I mentioned about A odors, but, you know, you want to monitor the gas field, you want to make sure that you're capturing the gas. We have a lot of the landfill that's capped. If you don't pull the gas out, you could actually have the cap, basically it'll be a balloon of gas underneath the liner. You don't want to do that. That would jeopardize the integrity of the cap as well. So it's important to capture the gas. Again, capture the odors, minimize the risk of fires, and so on and so forth as well.
So what we don't need is a self-initiated flare.
That's correct. That's correct. That's correct.
Thank you. Mr. Chair,
Commissioner Fletcher.
motion to approve.
We have a motion approved by Commissioner Fletcher. I will second that motion. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor? Aye. Let the record reflect it's unanimous with Commissioner Adams absent on assignments.
Chairman, if I may real quickly, I will be out for a few weeks. Baby's coming possibly Monday. There is a related item going to be brought to the board on the next meeting, the 16th. I most likely will not be here, but just briefly, just for information purposes, it is related to the RNG plant project. As we mentioned, the flows are declining, and No Petro has basically stepped forward, and that's what the item will be coming to you next week. They're looking to invest and put in infrastructure, some horizontal wells in our landfill. It is allowed in our contract agreement for them to do that. They're going to pay 100% of sort of the design, permitting, and construction costs with that. It is expected to possibly cost $1 million, if you will, to No Petro in that investment. In terms of our contract agreement, we just need to bring something forward to the board, which we plan to do the next meeting for approval, so that they sort of have our approval and blessing to expend the money on infrastructure in our landfill. So it's just for informational purposes. I won't be here next meeting, so I just wanted to just mention that to you for the record.
Thank you much. We wish you and your family well.
All right, thank you, sir.
Commissioners, as mentioned earlier, we have a 10:30 time-specific closed session to discuss pending litigation. I do believe it's safe that we will, well, it's not safe, we will be returning after our closed session for the public comment on non-related agenda items. So at this time, I will ask the county attorney to prepare us for the 10:30 shade meeting. Yes, ma'am.
Well,
I'm sorry, I missed it because the county administrator was talking to me. Did you ask me a question?
Yes, we're finished with this, and we're preparing for the 10:30 upstairs shade meeting.
That's right.
And if you would like to read your preamble.
Okay.
And this is required before we go to any shade meeting, so our public understands that.
That's right. Commissioners, I desire advice regarding pending litigation in front of the board. And the actual, I'm going to go ahead and read the case title of it, which is the 22 Beachfront case. And at this time, I ask that you state how long that the closed session will take and the people who will be participating. Mr. Chair.
So we anticipate this meeting to take approximately 1 hour for our public that are in attendance. And this is a closed litigation session, Indian River County versus 22 Beachfront Properties LLC. That is not 22 separate distinct. That is the title of this particular entity that we are involved with litigation. Location being and including 9586 Doubloon Drive but not including 1820 Wabasso Beach Road, Vero Beach, Florida 32963, and Summer Place Improvement Association, Inc., case number 31-2018 CA 000881. This session shall commence at an open meeting at which the person chairing The meeting, which will be myself, shall announce the commencement and the estimated length of the attorney-client session and the names of the person attending. At the conclusion of the attorney-client session, the meeting shall be reopened. This meeting shall be reopened, and the person chairing the meeting shall announce the termination of the session, whether there is a settlement or other activities are agreed upon.
Exactly, and the people who will be attending will be myself, Susan J. Prado, Paul Berg, who is outside counsel, members of the commission, and John Takanich, who's the county administrator.
Okay, thank you. So Commissioners, we have our orders. At this time, we will close this session of the meeting. We will go upstairs for our 10:30 meeting. We will come back and resume this meeting, open it for public comment, and close this meeting. So at this time, we are in recess until approximately 11:30. Welcome back. The time now is 11:31. We have concluded our shade meeting over pending litigation. No finite resolution was made, but we are back now in regular session of the June 2nd, 2026 Board of County Commission meeting, which brings us, Commissioners, to our final item, which is public comment for any non-related agenda items. So we open the podiums for public comment. Any non-related agenda items? Hearing none, seeing none. This meeting is adjourned.